The bracelet she never removed. The morning she almost lost everything began like every other morning for 11 years, with silence, discipline, and a secret she never spoke out loud. At exactly 5:12 a.m., Elena Reyes woke up before her alarm. She didn't stretch. She didn't scroll her phone. She didn't check messages. Instead, her hand instinctively moved to her wrist, the thin silver bracelet resting there like it had become part of her skin. She never removed it. Not for exams. Not for surgeries. Not even when the clasp once broke and she spent 2 nights holding it together with medical tape. Because the bracelet wasn't jewelry. It was memory. It was regret. It was the last proof that once, long ago, someone had looked at her like she was the most important person in the world. And she had lost him without ever knowing why. 11 years ago she had been 18. Poor. Invisible. Working evenings at a hotel reception desk while studying on scholarship during the day. And he had been everything she wasn't. Wealthy. Confident. Untouchable. The kind of man people moved aside for without being asked. Adrian Hale. The heir to one of the largest international logistics empires in Europe. The boy who taught her how to laugh loudly. The boy who once kissed her in the rain and promised, "I don't care where you come from. I see who you are." And then, just 6 months later, he destroyed her with 3 sentences. "Don't ever contact me again. I know what you did. You were a mistake." No explanation. No conversation. No chance to defend herself. He blocked her everywhere. Changed numbers. Disappeared from her world like he had never existed. And she never learned what crime she had supposedly committed. So she did the only thing she could do. She became unstoppable. Pain turned into fuel. Loneliness turned into discipline. Heartbreak turned into purpose. Now, at 29, Elena was one of the youngest trauma surgeons at Northbridge Medical Center, a hospital known for treating both the poorest neighborhoods and the richest private clients. To patients, she was calm hands and steady eyes. To coworkers, she was professional, distant, almost intimidating. To herself, she was still the girl who sometimes woke up wondering if she had imagined being loved at all. She showered quickly, tied her dark hair into a precise bun, and dressed in simple clothes. Nothing flashy, nothing expensive. Even now, despite her salary, she refused to buy luxury items. Except the bracelet. The bracelet stayed. Always. The subway ride was crowded, loud, alive with strangers and stories she would never know. She studied faces the way doctors do, unconsciously checking posture, breathing, movement. A construction worker rubbing his shoulder, possible rotator cuff strain. A teenager pale and sweating, maybe flu or anxiety. An elderly woman shifting weight carefully, likely arthritis. Medicine was her language now. Predictable. Logical. Honest. Unlike love. By 6:45 a.m., she pushed through hospital doors, greeted by the smell of antiseptic and coffee. The emergency board was already filling with incoming cases. "Morning, Dr. Reyes," Nurse Danielle called. "Morning," Elena replied softly, already scanning patient charts. She liked mornings. They felt like control. But destiny has strange timing. At exactly 10:17 a.m., a black luxury SUV stopped outside emergency intake. And everything Elena had spent 11 years building began to crack. Inside the vehicle, Adrian Hale was holding a little girl. His daughter. She was maybe 5 years old, burning with fever, barely conscious, her small fingers gripping his suit jacket. Adrian looked older, sharper, more controlled. But his eyes were the same. Storm gray. Intense. Dangerous. The moment he stepped inside the ER, nurses moved faster. Not because of status, but because fear radiated from him like heat. "I need a pediatric trauma specialist. Now," he said, voice low, controlled, terrifyingly calm. And fate, cruel, precise fate, assigned the case to Elena Reyes. She entered the exam room reviewing digital notes, not looking up immediately. "Hello, I'm Dr." She froze. The room felt smaller. Air thinner. Time slower. Adrian recognized her instantly. Shock flickered across his face, but disappeared almost immediately behind billionaire composure. "Elena," he said quietly. Not doctor. Not formal. Just her name. Like 11 years had collapsed into 1 second. She swallowed emotion like she always did. "I'm Dr. Reyes here. Let's focus on your daughter." Professional. Cold. Perfect. But inside her chest, war. The little girl whimpered weakly. That snapped Elena back to herself. "What's her name?" "Leah," Adrian said. Elena examined the child gently, voice soft, reassuring. "You're safe, Leah. I promise." She didn't look at Adrian again for several minutes. Vitals unstable. Severe infection signs. Possible complication. Serious but treatable. Good. She could work with good. High fever for how long? She asked. Since last night. She collapsed this morning. Any allergies? No. He hesitated. She lost her mother 2 years ago. Elena nodded professionally. But inside, another small fracture. Because once she thought she might have been that woman. Treatment started immediately. 4 fluids. Antibiotics. Monitoring. Hours passed in focused medical precision. And Adrian watched her. Not the girl he remembered, but someone stronger. Harder. Unbreakable. Finally, when Leah stabilized, Elena stepped into the hallway. Adrian followed. 11 years, he said quietly. Yes, she replied. I tried to find you. She laughed once, sharp, disbelieving. You blocked me everywhere. I know. Silence. Heavy. Complicated. I didn't know the truth back then, he said. Her heart skipped, traitor that it was. What truth? She asked coldly. He looked at the bracelet. You kept it. I keep reminders, she said. I knew you were innocent 3 years later, he said. And the world tilted. What? My best friend confessed. He lied. He said you cheated with him because he was jealous. I believed him. Her knees almost weakened. But by then, you were gone. Scholarship transfer. New city. No records. She stared at him. 11 years of pain. Of wondering. Of blaming herself. Because of a lie. I searched quietly, he continued. Because I thought if you were happy, I didn't deserve to interrupt your life. Tears threatened. She refused them. Why tell me now? Because I never stopped watching your career. Her stomach dropped. Not in a creepy way, he said quickly. Public achievements. Medical journals. Awards. He stepped closer. I knew the truth long before today. Silence again. And something else now. Not love. Not yet. But unfinished history. Behind them, Leah stirred awake, calling softly. Papa. Adrian turned instantly, father first, billionaire second. Elena watched him comfort the child. And something complicated moved inside her chest. Respect. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe not yet. But something. That evening, after discharge planning, Elena sat alone in the staff locker room. Her hand touched the bracelet. 11 years she carried a story that wasn't real. And somewhere in the city, a man who already knew the truth was now back in her life. And destiny wasn't done yet. Because neither of them knew that the lie from 11 years ago wasn't random. It was planned. And the person behind it was about to walk back into both of their lives. And when that happened, respect would be demanded. Truth would be exposed. And instant karma would arrive, fast, loud, and undeniable. The truth he discovered was only the beginning. The lie that destroyed them 11 years ago was never just about jealousy. It was about power. And power never forgets unfinished business. 3 nights after Leah was discharged, Elena was finishing a double shift when her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She almost ignored it. Almost. But something, instinct, fate, unfinished history, made her answer. Dr. Reyes speaking. Silence. Then a voice she never wanted to hear again. Hello, Elena. Her spine straightened instantly. Marcus Vallon. The man Adrian once called his brother. The man who supposedly confessed to lying years later. But the sound of his voice now carried something else. Confidence. Danger. You've done very well for yourself, Marcus continued smoothly. Youngest trauma surgeon. Charity medical missions. Very impressive. Cold moved through her chest. How did you get this number? I still have resources. She should have hung up. But instead she said, what do you want? Pause. Then, to fix an old misunderstanding. Her jaw tightened. There's nothing left to fix. Oh, Elena, he said softly. There's everything left to fix. Because the story Adrian told you 3 days ago? That wasn't the whole truth. The world seemed to narrow around her. What are you talking about? Another pause. Then words that made her stomach drop. I didn't lie because I was jealous. Silence. I lied because I was paid. The air left her lungs. By who? She whispered. Marcus exhaled slowly. Not on the phone. Click. The line went dead. Across the city, Adrian sat in his penthouse office, staring at security footage on repeat. The hospital hallway. Elena walking away from him. Still wearing the bracelet. His chest tightened every time he saw it. Because he had discovered the truth 8 years ago. But that truth had led him somewhere darker. Somewhere powerful people preferred to keep buried. A soft knock interrupted him. "Come in." His chief legal advisor entered, face tense. "We found something," she said, placing a tablet on his desk. "Financial transfer logs. 11 years old. From a shell corporation. To Marcus Vallon." Adrian's jaw hardened. "Trace the corporation." "We did." She hesitated. "It leads to a holding group connected to the Calder Foundation." Adrian went very still. Because the Calder Foundation wasn't just powerful. It controlled political donations, international shipping contracts, and medical supply monopolies across 3 continents. And Elena had just recently testified in a public medical ethics hearing, criticizing hospital supply price manipulation. She didn't know it, but she had made enemies. Powerful enemies. The next evening, Elena agreed to meet Marcus. Public place. Busy cafe. Exit routes visible. She sat facing the door. He arrived exactly on time. Older. Sharper. But still carrying that same dangerous charm. "You look successful," he said, sitting down. "You look guilty," she replied. He smiled slightly. "Fair. Talk." He nodded slowly. 11 years ago, someone approached me. They knew Adrian trusted me. They knew you loved him. They knew you were from a background that made you easy to discredit. Her stomach twisted. "They paid me to destroy your relationship." "Why?" she whispered. "Because Adrian was about to inherit controlling voting shares of Hale Logistics. And they needed him emotionally unstable. Distracted. Isolated." Her fingers clenched. "Who?" Marcus looked around carefully. "Calder executives. Indirectly. Never traceable." She leaned back, stunned. "So they destroyed 2 lives, for business leverage?" "Yes." "And you're telling me now because?" He swallowed. "Because they're targeting you now." Ice moved through her veins. "Why me?" "Because you're not invisible anymore." He slid a photo across the table. It showed her outside a medical conference. Someone had taken it from far away. "They're watching you," Marcus said quietly. "And Adrian?" she asked. "They've been watching him for years." That night, Elena couldn't sleep. For 11 years, she thought her heartbreak was personal. Now she knew it was strategy. She stood in her apartment, staring at her bracelet. Not memory anymore. Evidence. Meanwhile, Adrian made a decision. He drove to her apartment building himself. No security convoy. No assistance. Just him. She opened the door, surprised but not angry. "I know," he said immediately. Her eyes widened. "Marcus told me." Adrian nodded slowly. "I've been investigating them for years." She stared at him. "You knew this was bigger." "Yes." "And you never told me?" "I was protecting you." She laughed bitterly. "By letting me believe I destroyed us?" Pain flashed across his face. "I thought distance would keep you safe." Silence. Heavy. Emotional. Honest. Finally, she said quietly, "I'm not the girl you left behind." "I know," he said. "I don't need protection." "I know." Another silence. Then something shifted. Not romance. Not forgiveness. Partnership. War alliance. 2 weeks later, Elena stood in a government ethics hearing room, testifying again about medical corruption. Calder representatives sat across from her, smiling politely. But their eyes were cold. Predatory. She spoke clearly, fearlessly. And somewhere behind the observation glass, Adrian watched. Proud. Terrified. Because now the game was public. And powerful people hated losing. That night, a black car followed Elena home. But she noticed. Because she had spent 11 years becoming strong. And because now, she wasn't fighting alone. Across the city, Calder executives reviewed surveillance reports. "She's getting close," one said. "And Hale?" "He's protecting her." A long pause. Then a quiet order. "Accelerate phase 2. And phase 2 wasn't about reputation. It was about destruction. Careers. Freedom. Everything. As Elena locked her apartment door that night, she touched her bracelet again. Not for memory. Not for loss. For strength. Because now she knew something powerful. They tried to break her once. And she survived. Now, it was her turn to expose the truth. And when truth meets power, instant karma doesn't arrive quietly. It arrives like a storm. And the storm was coming. The storm that brought the truth to light. The storm didn't start with thunder. It started with silence. The kind of silence that powerful people create when they believe they've already won. 3 weeks after Elena's second testimony, the world began turning against her. First came the articles. Rising surgeon accused of ethics violations. Medical star under investigation for supply misconduct. Did Dr. Elena Reyes fake evidence? Anonymous sources. No proof. But loud enough to plant doubt. Hospital administration placed her on temporary review leave, pending investigation. She walked out of the building that day with her head high. But inside, fire. Not fear. Not anymore. Because this time she knew exactly who was behind it. And Adrian did too. That same night, the city skyline reflected across the glass walls of Adrian's office as he stood with his legal team, cybersecurity analysts, and investigative journalists. Documents covered the conference table. Financial records. Encrypted emails. Shell company ownership chains. All leading back to one place. The Calder Executive Council. They escalated faster than expected, his advisor said. They're scared, Adrian replied calmly. Because people only attacked this aggressively when they were close to exposure. Across town, Elena sat alone in her apartment, reading the articles again. Not crying. Not breaking. Just studying. Because she had learned something powerful in 11 years. Truth doesn't always win quickly. But lies always require maintenance. And maintenance creates mistakes. Her phone buzzed. Adrian. Tomorrow, he said simply. Tomorrow what? We take everything public. Her heart pounded. Are we ready? Yes. Then I'm ready too. The next morning, international media trucks lined the steps of the National Ethics Tribunal building. No one expected what was about to happen. Calder representatives arrived confident, polished, untouchable. Until Adrian Hale walked in beside Elena Reyes. And behind them walked 3 investigative journalists. 2 former Calder financial auditors. And Marcus Vallon. The room shifted instantly. The tribunal session began normally. Until Adrian requested emergency evidence submission. Screens lit up. Emails. Payment records. Voice recordings. Marcus's original payment instructions. Calder board authorization memos. A private message that changed everything. Neutralize Hale emotionally. Remove external emotional dependencies. Maintain leverage. The room erupted in whispers. Elena sat perfectly still. Because suddenly, 11 years of confusion had a name. Strategy. Not betrayal. Not weakness. Not her fault. Then came the final reveal. Adrian spoke directly to the tribunal. They destroyed my relationship to control my leadership. Then, when Dr. Reyes became a threat to their medical supply manipulation, they attempted to destroy her credibility. One Calder executive stood. This is circumstantial. The lead investigator cut him off. We have verified payment trails. Silence. Pure, devastating silence. Within hours, global media exploded. Corporate ethics scandal exposed. Medical whistleblower cleared. Calder executives under criminal investigation. The same networks that questioned Elena now requested exclusive interviews. She declined all of them. Except one. That evening, Elena stood in a simple studio chair. No luxury backdrop. No dramatic lighting. Just honesty. The interviewer asked softly. After everything, what do you feel? She touched her bracelet. And for the first time in 11 years, she smiled without sadness. I feel free. Calder's stock collapsed within days. Executives resigned. Criminal investigations began. Medical supply contracts were reopened for public review. Hospitals regained fair pricing. Patients, real people, benefited. That mattered most to Elena. Not revenge. Justice. 1 week later, she returned to the hospital. Staff stood when she walked in. Not because of scandal. Because of respect. Earned respect. That evening, she met Adrian on the hospital rooftop. City lights glowing below. I owe you 11 years, he said quietly. She shook her head. You owe me honesty. Starting now. He nodded. Starting now. No dramatic kiss. No rushed romance. Just 2 people choosing truth. Slowly. Carefully. Honestly. Months later, Elena finally removed the bracelet. Not to forget. But because she no longer needed to carry the past as armor. She placed it inside a small wooden box. Closed the lid. And walked forward. Because real power isn't wealth. It isn't status. It isn't control. Real power is surviving when the world tries to rewrite your story. And standing strong enough to write it yourself. Somewhere people still underestimated quiet strength. Still judged by background. Still confused kindness for weakness. But stories like Elena's reminded the world. Respect everyone. Truth always surfaces. And when justice finally arrives, it doesn't ask permission,